Today in society, we question as to why people make the subconscious decision to conform and to non-conform. Throughout history, we have seen significant historical figures and groups sway to non-conform in order to express themselves. Different figures in the Renaissance time period used literature, art, science, or actions to show nonconformity and expression of ideas, typically against societal norms. We decided to further investigate the subconscious decisions made to nonconform against societal norms, in addition to how famous historical figures made an impact with their personal self-expression. Human sciences is defined as the study of interpretation of the experiences, activities, constructs, and artifacts associated with human beings. Sociology is the study of development, structure, and functioning of human society. Both of those link to psychology, which is the study of human mind and its functions, especially those affecting behavior in a given context. Studies show that this human trait of conformity begins quite early in childhood, as early as 2 years old. It is part of our human nature now and happens subconsciously. In today's society, we constantly worry about the way we present ourselves or express ourselves to the world. Through our appearance, verbally, or art, we always want to be accepted in societal norms. Conformity is directly linked to this subconscious mind and decisions we make in order to receive the acceptance of others. Furthermore, women in the Renaissance time period were treated very poorly. For having no rights or opportunities to do anything, it's surprising that for the time given, women chose to conform to these unreasonable expectations, showing no form of self-expression. The role of women is a very scarce role. Women were supposed to be seen and not heard. Women were controlled by their parents from the day they were born until the day they are married, which then the husband would take over this role. Women were allotted no freedoms, no original thoughts or ideas. Lower-class women were expected to be housewives and take care of everything to do with the house. The expectation of working-class women was a little bit different. These women were expected to work for their husbands and help them run their business. They would work alongside with their husbands and then go home and take care of the household. Upper-class women may have had servants and workers working for them, but the women were still expected to take care of the household. Women could not work by themselves, neither could they live alone if they were not married. In accordance to different classes of women, the only women that were allowed to express themselves were upper-class women, but not sufficiently. The existence of women was there, but it was a marginal existence. Very rarely would a woman of less than upper class be seen or heard expressing herself. It was unheard of. These limitations aren't seen in today's time period because women no longer chose to conform to these unreasonable standards. Women now express themselves and are allowed to live on their own and be seen as individuals with their own ideas and thoughts. Without the progress of strong women in the Renaissance time period, the freedom of self-expression wouldn't be where it is today.
Galileo Galilei was an Italian physicist, mathematician, astronomer, and philosopher who played a major role in the scientific revolution. His ideas were commonly rejected by the Catholic Church because of the exclusion of the heavens. Galileo went on against societal norms of his time period. He proposed ideas that went against the beliefs of the Catholic Church. Galileo was accused twice of heresy by the Church for his beliefs. He died in Artroi, Italy, on January 8, 1642. Galileo began to openly express his support of the Copernican theory that the Earth and planets revolved around the Sun. This challenged the doctrine of Aristotle and the established order set by the Catholic Church. In the 1500s to the 1600s, the Roman Catholic Church was all-powerful in Western Europe. There was no legal alternative. The Catholic Church jealously guarded its position, and anybody who was deemed to have gone against the Catholic Church was labeled a heretic and burnt at the stake. In July 1609, Galileo learned about a telescope built by Dutch eyeglass makers, and he soon developed one of his own. In the fall of 1609, he decided to turn his telescope toward the sky. In March 1610, he published a small booklet called The Starry Messenger, revealing his discoveries that the moon was not flat and smooth, but a sphere with mountains and craters. He found Venus had phases like the moon, proving it rotated around the sun. He also discovered Jupiter had revolving moons, which didn't revolve around the Earth. Soon Galileo began mounting a body of evidence that supported Copernican theory and contradicted Aristotle and church doctrine. In 1612, he published his Discourse on Bodies in Water, refuting the Aristotelian explanation of why objects float in water, saying that it wasn't because of their flat shape, but instead the weight of the object in relation to the water it displaced. That same year, Galileo wrote a letter to a student to explain how Copernican theory did not contradict biblical passages, stating that scripture was written from an earthly perspective and implied that science proved a different, more accurate perspective. The letter was made public, and Church Inquisition consultants pronounced Copernican theory heretical. In 1616, Galileo was ordered not to hold, teach, or defend in any manner the Copernican theory regarding the motion of the earth. Galileo obeyed the order for 7 years, partly to make life easier and partly because he was a devoted Catholic. He was convicted of heresy and spent his remaining years under house arrest. Though ordered not to have any visitors, nor have any of his works printed outside of Italy, he ignored both. In 1634, a French translation of his study of forces and their effects on matter was published, and a year later copies of the dialogue were published in Holland. While under house arrest, Galileo wrote a book called Two New Sciences, a summary of his life's work on the science of motion and strength of materials. It was printed in Holland in 1638. Galileo died in Artri, near Florence, Italy, on January 8, 1642, after suffering from a fever and heart palpitations. But in time, the Church couldn't deny the truth in science. In 1758, it lifted the ban on most of his works supporting Copernican theory. By 1835, dropped its opposition to heliocentrism altogether. Through much of his life, Galileo went against societal norms, not conforming to standard beliefs even when told to. There was a 7-year span in which he did conform to his Catholic beliefs, but after that went on to push his ideas further. Even though his nonconformist beliefs were not fully established in society until 1835, his nonconformity and independent thinking paved the way for many great discoveries.
The Renaissance time period was an awakening and filled with opportunity for uprising authors to express their opinions and views through writing. In 1440, the printing press changed the world of arts, letters, and ideas forever. New, passionate poetry was being spread as a new, exciting way to express feelings, ideas, and opinions creatively. With this new communication, no one compared with William Shakespeare, an English poet with exquisite language filled with variety and rich ideas. Shakespeare impacted the world with his art, culture, film, and language. He used his own ideas of self-expression to spread his own creative opinions and impact the world around him, regardless of societal norms. He used his distinct creativity as an advantage to spread his ideas. We cannot control our subconscious decision between conforming and non-conforming. We can express our ideas, opinions, and passions distinctively to spread with others. Motivated self-expression, typically against societal norms, defines non-conformity. Break past the need for acceptance and express yourself and the ideas you value, just like our ancestors, in order to make a genuine impact in the world around you.